It's
I
good.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
So we'll dive right in. But again, just thank you. Thank you.
of
Um,
course.
Jason, I'm curious first, can you help me understand? I don't know if it's childhood or maybe that's just how God made you. Everybody's different. But where did you get your, I'll call it Seth Godin-esque, chill, coolness, capitalistic to make money, but yet I want to make people feel good about the way we work. All the stuff you've written about and talk about, where does that come from? Why are you not a money grubbing run, and let's be drag ourselves to death? You get what I mean? Where's that come from?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'll give you some thoughts. I don't
please.
know for sure, right?
Yep.
I don't like people like that.
Yeah.
So if I don't like people like that, I don't want to be like that, first
Yep.
of all. I've seen people like that. I've worked for people like that. I've observed people like that. It's not the kind of person I want to be. It's also not the kind of thing I feel like I need to do. I mean,
Mm,
my general sense is let me make something I like. Let me
mhm.
put it out there in the world. Let me hire people I like to work with. Let's see what happens. And enough is enough in a sense. Like I don't need to grab every last whatever. I don't need to squeeze. I don't need to like fight. Just let's make something great, put it out there, see if we can make more money than we spend, and find a place where we feel pretty good about ourselves. And that's enough for me. It's always been that way. But yeah, I don't know if it's probably, I've had a bunch of, when I was younger, I had a bunch of different jobs.
Sure.
And I think I saw a bunch of different kinds of ways businesses could be run.
Mm,
There was one place where I worked where the owners were very stingy. Every penny mattered in a way that felt like everyone was on pins and needles all the time.
mhm, mhm.
And it didn't seem like they needed to be that way. It wasn't like margins were razor thin. It was just like they needed to grab everything and put it in their pocket.
Mhm.
And I didn't like the environment that created because everybody knows what that's like. I don't want to make a place like that. And I worked at other places where it was a little bit more free flowing and just
Mhm.
it was fun to be there. I'm like, well, I'd
Yes.
like to be more like that. Now, I wasn't making these decisions at the time,
Mhm.
but they were probably filling me up in a way
Yes.
that now maybe I get to put them out there myself. So that's my best guess here.
Listen, I love it. People ask me similar, Ramon, how are you this way? And I'm like, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
That's how I am. I'm 52 and here's how I show up.
That's
Um,
right.
how do you balance that, Jason, with, I don't know anybody in your team. I'm making up names, with Becky or John or Andrew, whoever,
Sure.
like they didn't meet, and I shouldn't ask you this, the sales goals, because you probably don't have any, but
We don't have
not,
those.
I know, but they didn't meet whatever thing that their manager 2 levels below you is like, hey, we're running a business here.
Yeah.
Here's some things we're looking to do. I guess maybe the better question is, when do you fire, or when do you have a meeting, or what caused you to say, hey, Jeremy, fictional name,
Yep.
we've tried, we've worked with you, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming if they stole or culture fit, for
Of
sure
course.
that. But talk about that. When do you say this person has to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for us, it's always about there's kind of two things. Aside from like to your other point, like someone steals or there's some okay, that doesn't
Yeah,
you're out. We don't really have that because
right.
we don't really have physical things as much and whatever. But you could look at customer data that you're not supposed things like
Sure.
that. So there's certainly a bar there that you need to get over.
Obvious wrong stuff. This
Obvious
this
wrongs,
was a
right?
bad actor. I got you. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. Beyond that, it's like trajectory and competency. So,
Mm,
we have some people who join the company. Here's how we kind of do it. We give everybody a year. The first year is almost like it's not a trial. I mean, you're being paid
hmm
full pay, but like essentially what we do at the end of the first year is we ask ourselves one question, which is, would I hire this person again?
mm,
Like that answers every other question about their competency, their trajectory, what do they like to work with, what do other people think about them, what was their work like itself. And at that point, like we have a year more that we know about this person than we do when we
hmm
hired them. We hired them based on XYZ. Now we have ABC also.
mm,
Would we hire them again? And if the answer is yes, then they're like on the track. And the track then is like they have to keep getting better
hmm
to a certain point where they're progressing through the company. Now, some people will be comfortable sort of landing, let's say, at
hmm
a senior programmer role or a senior designer role,
hmm
and that was our expectation of them, and so they got there, and that's okay. But there's other people where there's a trajectory and there's an expectation they're going to become a lead or a principal or something like that. And if they don't follow that curve, we try to help them get on the curve and get back on the curve. But there's a point where you just kind of know that someone is not going to get where we wanted them to be and where they think that they are. When there's a gap between where we think they're supposed to be and where they think they are, that's when it becomes a bit more of a problem. And we have performance improvement plans, we have other things that we do, but we also draw the line pretty quickly because I think if it's a competency or trajectory thing, it's very hard in a relatively reasonable amount of time to really get someone back on track. Sometimes there's motivation issues, sometimes there's stuff going on at home or in life, and like we get to understand those, go, okay, this will be better in 3 months. We're fine with that. But if it's core competency, it's really hard ultimately to get back on track if you're off a trajectory.
No, that makes listen, it makes perfect sense. And I'm curious, is there room, Ramon, I'll stop using fictional names. Ramon goes to work for
Who's that guy?
Jason
Yeah.
or 37 Signals or one of the projects you have and things you do. Can I just do what I'm told? Can I just, Jason said come at 9. I show up at 8:58, leave at 5. I left even at 5:01
Right.
and I'm there for years. Is that okay? Or is it because you're not the hard charging, I've read your body of work and I
Right.
get you're not the hard charging hustle, but is it okay that I just come and go? I not bare minimum, but you get what I'm trying to get at. I did
Yes.
just what okay. Is that okay for your world or no?
You
How
know,
does that work?
there are some jobs where that's sort of the case, but
Yeah.
most, I mean, we want people who are, okay, we have about 60 people in the company. So it's rare air to make it in. It's a
Hmm.
relatively small
Hmm.
team. So we want people who are really, really damn good at what they do, wherever they are, whatever level they're
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
If you could be an amazing junior, you can be an
Hmm.
amazing lead, but you could also be a bad lead and a great junior, and you got to figure out where you are, and you've got to put in the time and make the effort to do great work and be fun to work with. So you got to do great work and be great to work with.
Hmm.
If you're just punching the clock and fulfilling your basic duties, like you can do that for a while, but the thing is there's other people out there who are willing to also put in the 8 hours because I don't want anyone to work 12 or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
who are going to put in the 8 hours and put in more effort or
Yeah.
be smarter about the way they work and get, 6 hours worth of work done, but be better than your eight. So you can't just rest on your laurels.
Hmm.
But of course, different types of jobs have different expectations around them. But fundamentally, you got to be good to be here. You got to be good to stay here.
Yeah.
And that's sort of an expectation we have.
Yes,
Yeah.
and these are my words, not yours for the listening. I'm not saying you aligned with who I'm going to mention, but Dave Ramsey is known to have said in his Southern drawl, "The donkeys will kick themselves out, and the thoroughbreds will, the thoroughbreds and donkeys want to align." So
Yeah.
maybe Jason's not going to fire you, but you probably, my word, sounds like you'd be uncomfortable being
Yeah.
that
I mean,
way.
you're going to get, if for a long enough time, you're just coasting. We don't want
Yes.
coasting. Okay.
Mm,
So coasting's no good.
yes. Okay.
Um, and so in some cases, for example, there's some people though who like don't want to become a manager. We don't have
Hmm.
many managers in the company. So it's not like a managerial track. So some people just want to get better, but they don't want to be a manager. So for them, better means like a wider scope of skills. They
Hmm.
might take on something beyond their smaller scope, but not deal with managing people. And that's what we want to see. I don't want someone to get to a level and then just kind of coast.
Got
That's
it.
no good. Now, if you've been here for a long time and you begin to coast, well, we have like more leeway for you than if you're 8 months in and you're coasting. 8 months in and you're coasting, that's not a good sign for the next 5 years. So it all depends on a variety of different things. But we want people here who are learning and getting better at what they do, regardless of, it's still an 8 hour day.
Sure.
So it's not about like harder chargers or anything like that. It's about being more efficient with your time ultimately and just figuring out what not to do and then doing all the other things that you should be doing in that period of time and getting a lot of work done and being enjoyable to work with.
Yeah.
Not having an ego, not getting stuck on office politics style things or fighting or fighting in a way where you're fighting for your idea more so than you're fighting for an idea. I just don't like this, like this is mine and it's got to be this way. It's just not going to be a good way to work here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And the one thing, again, we're just getting to know each other, but just
Yeah.
reading your work, the one thing I think I disagree, but you may enlighten me, and I may go, oh, is pay scale. I used to work at the United Nations, and let's say they would say, okay, you're going to make 150,000 a year. You probably know I'm going, but you work in Malaysia or you work in New York, or you work in the Philippines, so some sort of index percentage, however it
Yeah.
worked, and then your salary got. I think if you still disagree with that, I think, but the point is you pay everybody equally, and why? If Ramon's paid 150K in New York, that's jokingly poverty level. Like he's trying to live.
Right.
But if I'm paid 150,000 in I don't know Austin or Philippines, I'm living pretty good. So can you just explain why y'all, if that's still the case, do that and how that philosophy works. Because the guy in the Philippines is a king at
Yeah,
150K. So
he
how does that
is.
work?
He is, and we do that. So
Okay.
everybody in the same position.
Right.
So like every lead programmer
Mm-hmm.
or senior designer, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, everyone who's a senior or lead in the respective fields gets the
Mm-hmm.
same amount of money, no matter
Okay.
where they live around the world. And
Mm-hmm.
so, why? To your point, like why? Like, well, because we're hiring the work and not your zip code.
Right.
And while we could save money, certainly, if we were to offshore things, well, actually, we do offshore. We're half outside the U.S., so
Sure.
like offshore. But most of those people are in Europe. Some
Mm-hmm.
some in Asia
Mm-hmm.
as well. But most in Europe. Some in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Offshore, not really
I got you.
offshore. But um,
Out of
I
our
want
borders.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want like I don't. If you get into this thing where you're just trying to save, this is the saving money. You're just trying to save money by hiring the cheapest possible labor you can, who's the best. I just don't like that pattern. And I also don't feel like someone should be penalized if someone moves from one city to another.
I get that part.
And I
Yes.
also don't like the complexity of multiple
Mm.
different pay scales. It becomes complicated. So we're basically, you could say, I mean, I wouldn't say this, but you could say this, we are overpaying in some places.
Right.
And what we're saving is complexity,
Mm.
internal political strife, and like, why is this guy getting paid more than I am? Well, he lives.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not my problem. Like, I can't move. My wife works over. Like,
Right.
I don't want to get into those discussions. So I want everyone to know who works for us, no matter where you live. And what's really great about this, by the way, is, for example, in Europe, well, our standard. So we peg our salaries to the Bay Area in the U.S.,
Okay.
San Francisco
Okay.
rates,
Yep.
even though we don't really have anyone there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the top market in our industry.
Which is where I'm at right now. By the way, my daughter's going to give birth in 2 weeks or so,
Holy
or a
shit.
few days or hours.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm here
Amazing.
at an Airbnb. This is not my normal studio. I'm at a rented Airbnb in
Amazing. Amazing.
Bay Area.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
is
you. Thank you.
first kid?
First, yes, first for her,
Oh,
yes, and my first grandson it'll
oh
be.
my God. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. So
You're talking about Bay Area. You pegged the salary too. You were talking about, yeah.
yeah, so we peg this out of the San Francisco area, right? And so we can get people where you have to pay a lot for someone who lives in, let's say, Madrid, Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But we also get the absolute best people in all these different regions, because for them, like you said, this salary it's a kingmaker salary in a sense. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have like get the best possible people, take money off the table in a sense. Like we're just going to pay you the best possible rates, no matter where you live in the world, and then get the best of those people, no matter where they are. So that's just our feeling, because that person can go maybe move to San Francisco and get paid by someone else, and then we lost out to them because we weren't willing to pay the same rates someone else is going to pay. Like I just want to pay the best we can at top of our industry and get the top of the industry people. And yes, it costs us more, but I think that's in a sense it doesn't take everything into account.
Mm-hmm.
Complexity to me is very expensive. Knowing someone is sitting next to you doing the same exact job as you, making more money than you, is actually very expensive mentally to someone who's not getting paid as much.
Mm.
I want to get rid of those expenses and rather just pay dollars in that case.
Listen, I respect that. I'll just, rarely do I do a
Please
pushback in an
go
interview,
ahead.
but my
Push back.
only,
Push back.
just fun thought is that I guess for me, money is and that's hence going from my UN background, but money
Yeah.
is a source of, as you know, of wealth and buying the things. That's really what money is. We use
Yeah.
Doritos, which are in front of me if I could, but it's a source of, so I guess for me, I just am thinking, I totally get it. And that goes with your ethos of making the world a better place, just living in how you live, right? But I guess it's just globally speaking, if it's Asia or Africa, maybe splitting the world up in a few simple geographies.
Yeah.
It's like the guy or the gal, and we'll use Philippines as example. They're having 5 Maseratis and 10 houses and feeding their whole family.
Good for them.
I figured you were going to say that.
I understand. Like I really do understand.
Okay.
Because it is. I think it's logical, but it's also in some ways very illogical.
Sure.
Because you're right. Like I don't have to pay so and so that money. I could hire two people instead, or
And still
whatever.
being
But
paid well. They could still be paid amazingly well.
yes, they could still
Yes.
be paying what,
Right.
but again, now I've got to I have to maintain a lot of overhead,
I got it.
conceptual overhead. I've got to look at pay scales in
Yeah.
18 different countries and regions, and I don't want to do any of that. Like it's
I got
just
you.
I wouldn't want to do it. So this is what we do, and the other thing is, because here's a couple of other things,
Mm-hmm.
because we pay everyone in the U.S. the highest top
I
10%
got you.
salaries. we're not compromising and evening out. Like if you live in the US, you're still getting paid really, really, really well.
Hmm.
We also have profit sharing. We have some other things that we do too. So all that's good. And then you live somewhere else, or you choose to live somewhere else, or in the US, you get to move. Maybe you say like, I want my dollar to go further. I'm going to go to Kansas City
Hmm.
instead,
Hmm.
and that's up to you. And so in
Right.
a sense, maybe you're going to get a raise of 30% in a sense because you choose to move.
Yep. Yep.
And because we allow people to work remotely everywhere they live, or everyone in the company that's work
Hmm.
remotely,
Hmm.
people can go choose wherever they want to live, including if you live in the US, you want to move to Malaysia.
Yep.
Go ahead. Like you can do that. You don't lose your job. We don't lose you. Your salary stays the same. Like these are your choices. Now I know not everyone is upwardly mobile in that way because
Understand.
they have families and all the other things, but people do move all the time for jobs. So you can also move all the time for standard of living if you
Sure.
want, if you work here. That's my best
I
answer.
love it.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you so much. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
My pushback is withdrawn. I
Don't,
get
no,
it.
no, don't withdraw it.
It was
It's
drawn in a
cool.
good way, meaning I'm informed differently. My eyes are open differently.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you talk, Jason, to the startup founder? Talk to yourself, or however it were. I guess years ago, if you have little money, you're in the hustle phase. You're stretching, you're scrambling, you're trying to build it. You have a shorter runway. You get what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know these things.
Yep.
Just talk to that person. I guess what I'm trying to ask is there a season where Jason may say, not the Jason today, but you know what? Okay, I get it, you guys. Three girls in a garage and pizza and a bottle of food, tepid water. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to grind for 20 hours if you all agree for a season. Is that okay, or is that something you'd say? You know what? I got that. Or would you say, no, there's still a better way? Or would you think there's seasons of where you'd say at some season, grind, do what you got to do?
So I'm going to first say that I actually don't even feel comfortable answering. I will answer the question.
I
The reason I
understand.
don't feel comfortable answering is because I'm not there anymore.
I
So it's
understand.
hard for me to give you an answer that's actually accurate.
Fair
I'm
enough.
just going to be honest about that.
Yep.
That said, here's what I would say to this. We are what we do.
Yep.
And the habits we form are the things, we form habits because we do things over and over and over.
Hmm.
So I think if you're in this grind mentality, when you're in the garage, there's three of you,
Hmm.
whatever, there's going to be some of that because you're brand new. Your costs are also pretty low, which is good.
Good point.
You got to keep your costs as low as you possibly can. I'd focus on that first before like increasing your costs and then having to grind to cover those.
Right.
But if you think that you have to put in 18-hour days
Sure.
and you do that for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
I've met very few people who did that and then start working 8-hour days.
Mm.
They're just ingrained now that this pattern of grind, 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 grind. And for a while, you can do that in your 20s and maybe your early 30s. There's a point, you and I are the same age. I've got
Right.
1 year on you. I'm 51.
Okay.
That like you can't do that
Sure. Sure.
anymore. And not only can't you, you don't want to, nor should you. But if you don't know how to do it any other way,
Mm.
I think it's a problem. So my sense is this. Yes, there is more to there actually isn't more to do when you're starting up. It's just different kinds of work.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. There's always more to do. No matter if you're successful or not successful or getting started, been in it 20 years. There's always more to do than you have time to do. The work's different. And when you're trying to make a name for yourself and trying to get out there, you're naturally going to, and you're younger, you're going to have more of that. You want to put more of that energy out in the world. I would just say, I would never tell anyone like not to,
Right.
because that's who am I to say that?
Everybody
But
has their own path. And
everyone has their own
yeah.
path.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind the habits you're setting up for yourself, and it's true across everything in life. We all know this in most cases, but for some reason, people think, well, if I work my ass off for a long time, at some point I won't have to do that. I just don't find that to be actually the case. I haven't noticed. I mean, maybe there's people out there who've really been able to change their path because people would say, well, eventually you can hire people and they can do the work. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You still have other work to do as the owner of the business or the CEO or whatever. Just you have new work to do. New work's invented for you to do. So you're always going to be equally busy. And if you're used to that, you're going to keep doing it that way. That's my only thing. Recognizing again that when you're 18, I wouldn't have listened to me right now.
Right.
You wouldn't have listened to you today
Yeah.
if you were 18. If
Yeah.
someone came up to you who's 50, here's how you should do it.
Right.
So I want to like hold back
I respect
on
that.
that kind of advice. But I think the habit thing is important to think about regardless of where you are in your career.
So, Jason, what kind of private life do you live then? Not like literal private, giving away secrets, but I mean, I
Sure.
assume you, those around you, the 60 people at your team, I'm making some inferences that they go fishing, canoeing, camping, marshmallow blowing, whatever they're doing. If they're not run, 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 because,
Yeah,
I think that God has made us humans. We don't just want to sit, and do
right.
nothing. That's what solitary confinement's about. It's punishment. So, can you talk then about again, I'm sure you love 37 Signals. You would have done it all these years, but what's you and speaking broader, your closest friends or your team,
Yep.
do people have hobbies if they're not just run, run, run?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, look, it's not my business to know everyone's hobbies
Sure.
and lives,
Well, whatever you
but
know.
what we do in the company is every Monday morning. So Basecamp, which is the system we built and
Hmm.
use, every Monday morning sends out a message to everybody in the company.
Hmm.
It's totally optional. What'd you do this weekend? It's just an optional thing. And a lot of people share, like, oh, I went to visit my aunt and my kids
Hmm.
graduated and I, whatever, did the sports thing and whatever it
Hmm.
was, went on this family vacation. And so they share a lot of pictures. They share a lot about themselves, those who want to. Some are very
Hmm.
private and don't
Hmm.
share anything. And so you get to see that there's people do a lot of things in their life, and they're really good at multiple things, which is really nice to see. My business partner, David, is a Le Mans race car driver.
Nice.
He's a programmer, prolific programmer outside of work, also in a sense.
Hmm.
He does a lot of
That's
things
his
too.
passion. He enjoys that. That's his.
He enjoys
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So we have people who are like Kimberly, who works for us, just finished a half Ironman last week, and she
Nice.
wrote that up. And like she's an intense runner, basically, And we have another guy who's also an outdoorsman, and like all these different things that people do, and they share, and it's great. So the nice thing is that we don't expect people to work nights. We don't expect people to work weekends. And so people have time to live.
Yeah.
For me, I've got a family, got two young kids, got a wife. There's things that we like to all do as a family. There's things I like to do personally. I'm trying to learn how to play drums. I'm
Nice.
decent. I got my drum set right over behind me here,
Good for you.
or in front of me.
Mm.
So I do that from time to time. But it's different seasons. Some people are really busy with one thing. Some people are really
Absolutely.
busy with other things. We also have some real junior people who are pretty much absorbed with work
Hmm.
primarily because
Hmm.
that's like where they are in their careers.
That's right.
But it's important for us to not claw people's lives away. And I
Hmm.
think what ends up happening in most people's lives, unfortunately, at work, is that work always takes precedence over free time. So if the boss says, "Hey, I need you this weekend," it's like it kind of has to happen. Versus no one's like, "Hey, I need to take Wednesday off because I'm going to go do something else." Like that, you can do that here occasionally, but like it's not as common. And so I want to make sure that we're disciplined enough to say 8 hours, 40-hour work weeks is enough time. Take all the rest of the time for your life. So it's like 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of life. Do something interesting. And again, it's not for me. We used to actually encourage people to do certain things,
Hmm.
and we stopped doing that because it actually felt wrong. But we used to offer a few different benefits around
Sure.
continuing education beyond work,
Hmm.
and then it ended up feeling a bit paternalistic, and we just dialed back on that. But people are interesting
Good
here.
intentions for sure, though. That's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
we had them, and we're like, you know what? This is good, but still something about it feels wrong. I don't want our tentacles at all in people's personal lives at all, one thing or the other or another. So that's what we do.
Yeah, one of the brands I work with, Jason, based in India. I'm sure you know them, probably know the founders. The only closest I've heard to a company and leader like this, and they're fastidious on two things. It seems we will never go public, and I know
Yeah.
right on your website it talks about data privacy.
Yeah.
Is this kind of why you can do this? That if you're public and the Wall Street and I'm like CNBC and all this, you are going to be in a rat race.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you decide, nope, we'll make whatever money we want, we'll do whatever, lay off all the things. Is this kind of why you can choose this? You could because you've chosen this path.
It's a big part of it. Now, we didn't do it so we didn't have to do the other things. We did it because this is what we like to do and how we like to run our business.
Mhm.
But you'll see, I think it's number two at 37signals.com. I mean, actually, it's number one, I believe, on the list. Maybe one
I
or two.
have that list in front of
And
me to ask
okay,
you a
is
few
an
questions
obligation
from
to
it. Indeed.
independence, is that number one?
I don't have the list in front of me. I
Oh,
took lists from it. Actually, I'll tell you. Number
yeah.
one, it will start here.
Yeah.
Yes, number one, an obligation to independence. Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
for us, independence is everything, to your
Okay.
point.
Hmm.
No one can tell us what to do. We don't have
Right.
a board of directors. We don't have any investors who have any control over the business
Hmm.
whatsoever. David and I run the whole thing.
Hmm.
We don't answer to anybody, I mean, except ourselves and our customers ultimately and our employees. But like, not
Hmm.
typically like in a business, you've got a bunch of stakeholders beyond that. And we actually feel like it's our moral imperative to exercise our independence, to do
Hmm.
things that nobody would give us permission to do. to try things that we just want to try and want to put out there in the world and give a shot. Some things work, some things don't, most things don't, but a few things do. And we're going to keep doing more things to see if we can find a few more things that do. Um, but I couldn't imagine being a public company CEO. I couldn't imagine having to live quarter by quarter.
That's
I
right.
couldn't imagine having to explain every decision I make. I don't even know why I make some of my decisions, and I don't even agree with some of them. And I change my mind frequently enough. And it's
Right.
like, I don't want to have to go, oh, this quarter we did this, and here's our 5 year or next year projection. I don't have projections either.
Yes.
We look at things like 6 weeks at a time is the furthest we kind of look out, basically. And
Hmm.
that just would not work in a public
No.
company setting or in a setting with a bunch of investors. We had
Hmm.
quarterly board meetings. I've been on some boards. I've seen how that works. I don't want to run a business like that either. So we've fortunately been able to be an independent business for 25 years now and 26 years, and
Hmm.
I wouldn't have it any other way. And if that ever changed, I wouldn't want to be running this business either. And if I ever, and well, I mean, at some point I won't be doing this.
Sure.
I would not, if I was to ever start something else, which I won't, by the way, I have no interest in starting another business. But if I did, I do it the same way again. I don't want outside money. I don't want obligations. I don't want some quarterly schedule I need to report on. It's just not the way I want to do things. I'm not saying that that way of doing things is wrong
I
at
understand.
all. It's just not my way. And I think the most important thing is just to figure out what your way is and do it. And don't feel like you need to be like them or be like us or be like her or be like him. Be like you, figure it out, make it work, and go.
I love this,
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
Can you right there? I do have a few things I want to ask from your website, but Jason, can you just recap for those who don't know? And I don't need you to say this. I know what it is, but just talk about Basecamp 37 Signals. I just saw you have a project to be able to write books and things. Can you just recap recap the company and who that
We got a
is?
lot of things going on.
Okay.
So Basecamp, okay, the company's called 37 Signals. Basecamp is our main product. It's a project management tool. It's been around since 2004, but we've made many, many, many big changes along the years. We're working on Basecamp 5. We're currently in Basecamp 4. We'll be working on Basecamp 5, which will be out next year. Major new release kind of thing. Okay. That's their biggest product we've ever made. We've made other products. There's things called High Rise, which was a CRM tool, something called Backpack. We made something called Campfire, which is like 8 years before Slack existed. It was
Hmm.
a group chat tool thing. We've made a bunch of other little small things in the meantime. We have a thing called Writebook, which is under the Once umbrella. Once is another brand of ours that Basecamp and Hey. Hey's our email tool. I didn't mention that. So Basecamp and Hey are our two major products right now.
Hmm.
Um, those are SaaS tools, software as a service, pay subscription. Once products that we make two. One's called Campfire and one's called Writebook. They are pay once products, meaning you pay once, you get the code, you get everything, and you're done. In fact, Writebook is free entirely,
Hmm.
but Campfire is $2.99, I think, is the current price, and you buy it and you get it, and you don't have to pay them on a monthly basis. We've written a bunch of books, Rework. It doesn't have to be crazy at work, Remote, Getting Real, Shape Up. We're working on another book right now. Maybe we'll finish it. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
Because you have the
But
freedom. You have the freedom.
yes, we might decide. Well, we might decide that we don't actually have enough of a book here, or we might really have a book here. I don't know. We've started on it. That's how we work. We're like, let's see where it goes. This is true with products and books and everything else. David invented Ruby on Rails, which is a framework that a lot of programmers around the world use.
Hmm.
So we're kind of the number one supporter of that platform. And so we've done a bunch of stuff over the years. We've had, like, I would say, three well, one huge hit, Basecamp.
Hmm.
High Rise and Hey are biggish hits.
Hmm.
And then a bunch of other things that we tried that sort of were okay, but didn't really pan out in a way that really made material impact on our bottom line. Something that's important to us, though, is that we don't shut products down.
Hmm.
So, Backpack, which is something we launched in 2005, which is
Yep.
like a little personal note organizer thing,
Hmm.
it still exists. If you have it or had it, you get to keep it. We still support it. It's still available, but we don't sell it to new customers. The same thing is true about High Rise,
Hmm.
which was our second biggest product before Hey, which is our CRM tool. If you had it, we launched it in 2007. Stopped, I think, working on it in maybe 16 or something like that.
Hmm.
We haven't improved it since. It's just sitting there. We security patches and stuff, but we don't
Absolutely.
improve the product, but we maintain it.
Hmm.
If you're using that, you can keep using that forever. As long as we're still around in business, that'll still be around, but we don't sell that to new customers. So we're careful about the legacy that we have in that way, but we're also making new stuff and enjoying that too.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. I went to your website, one of the most weirdest websites, a compliment that I've
True.
seen in a while.
Yeah. It's
Only
unusual.
other websites I've seen weird like that, and I say weird in a good way, is,
It's an art
agency.
project. It's
Okay,
it's just an art project.
I'll
Yeah.
take that, an art
Yeah.
project. So wanted to just touch on a few of those things. You talk about fixed, scale back the scope, launch on budget, don't throw more time, more money into it. What does it mean? Why? Fixed. I loved it.
So we have this system called Shape Up, which we've invented here, which is a way of working. You can check it out, basecamp.com/shape up. There's a book. It's free online. You can read it.
Mhm.
In this book, we describe how we work, which is work on these 6 week cycles. Projects can take anywhere from a day to up to 6 weeks, but no longer. We don't estimate how long things are going to take. We instead have a budget. We say, like, we're going to give this feature 3.5 weeks. We're like,
Mhm.
we're willing to spend 3.5 weeks on this thing. And that is that. It is now up to the team of two, one programmer, one designer, to figure out how to build the best 3.5 week version of that feature. Now, a whole product is going to take longer than that, but we just go
Mhm.
back to
Mhm.
back to back to back and add the different cycles together. But features themselves cannot take longer than 6 weeks. So with a 3.5 week version of this or 2 week version of that, whatever it might be, the key is at the end of that time, it's got to ship. Some version of it's got to ship. And the reason this is important is because if you make software, you know that, if you say something's going to take 4 weeks and you get to near 4 weeks and it's not done, the next thing is, well, let's give it another week. Let's give it
Mhm.
another 2 weeks. And then you got 6 weeks or 7 weeks invested. And now there's no way you're going to cancel it because you've already put now 7 weeks in. Now, one more week. Now you've spent twice as much time as you originally thought. Now you're absolutely never, ever going to cancel it. And these things keep going and going and going and going. And if you don't stop yourself, you're in deep trouble. This is how
Mhm.
things go late, late, late. And that's just one thing. Like most companies are always running on this just 2 more weeks, just 2 more weeks, just 2 more weeks thing. So we're very, very careful about that and don't allow things to, sometimes something will go a few days longer, maybe a week longer. It depends where we are in the
It's
project.
acceptable.
Yeah,
It's
there's
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
little bit of margin. It depends on where we are. So we have this idea of uphill and downhill. If we're downhill, it means we're just like we know what we're doing. We just need a few more days to tighten it up and finish it up.
Mhm.
If we're still in the uphill on something, meaning we're not really even sure how this is going to work yet, you cannot give it more time.
Mhm.
Because if you don't know where you are in the hill, if you're still going uphill, the mountain might be
Mhm.
a lot higher than you think, and you don't know what it looks like on the downslope. So you need to be on the downslope and near the end to get a few more days here and there. But most of the time, that's it. And so we just get better and better, better, speaking about habits, at building the muscles to know how much time we have left, what trade-offs we need to make, what we need to cut to get things done at a high level, high quality bar level still in a certain amount of time. That's what fixed is all about.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Companies uh, don't have communication problems, miscommunication problems.
Yeah.
Very evident what that means. But can you just talk about that? Just communication, miscommunication.
Yeah.
Why? Why? What does that
There's one
mean?
of my favorite, like, well, I mean, I don't have many of these, but there's a researcher named Osmo Weo. I'm not sure if he's in this article or not.
Mm,
Um, he's this was I think I don't think he's alive anymore,
sure.
but he was a communications expert kind of person, and he wrote these laws of communication, and they're fantastic. I think I may have one somewhere else on the site, but
Mhm.
look it up at some point.
I will.
And there's just all these. It's almost like a Murphy's law kind of thing. Like, if something is going to be said, it'll be misunderstood. If something can be said to, like, if the worst outcome is possible, it will happen. Things like that. I'm totally paraphrasing
I got
incorrectly,
you now.
but this great list of things about miscommunication. Humans, even though we communicate all the time, we're quite bad at it, actually, because what I say actually is this great thing about, like, there's something like six people in every conversation. You and I. So me, you, who you think I am, who I think you are, like who I
Our
think you
histories and
are,
yep,
that whole thing, right?
yep. It's
And
kind of like a
so
marriage, to tell you the truth. I mean,
it's
listen, my wife is feet in front of me, and 31 years of marriage, we talk about miscommunication, communication all the time.
all the time, right? So this is the nature of
Mhm.
language, which is that language is perceived.
Mm.
So I hear something, and then I run it through my storylines, and she meant this or he meant that. And so it just that's the problem. And so
Mhm.
the key for us is always to be as clear as possible. And the way we do this is to encourage writing. Most of our communication is written, and most of
Hmm.
it's written in long form.
Hmm.
So we don't chat a lot. We don't do Zooms a lot. We have a few, but usually it's one or two people having a conversation like you and I are having.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's not six people on a call. There's two, maybe three at the most. But most of it's written down. We want you to think about what you're going to say,
Hmm.
compose it, or write it up, or read it again. Make sure it's what you mean. Think about how someone else going to receive this, and post it. And then other people get a chance to read it, absorb it, think about it, and respond in kind in time
Hmm.
when they're ready to respond versus this idea of immediate response where everyone's just rifling back at each other and no one's thinking, they're just reacting.
Hmm.
That's not a good place to be. So I think most companies have miscommunication problems because people are reacting. They're talking too quickly. They're not talking in complete thoughts,
Hmm.
and all these issues pop up, and then there's no, and then people go off and do some work, and they realize they deliver some work, and someone's like, "That's not what I thought." You're like, "Well, that's what you said," and then
Hmm.
all these miscommunication issues leak into the actual work, and there's double work and rework and all the stuff that has to happen when that doesn't. Now, that's not to say that we don't have problems. We do. But we're just trying to be very, very careful about it. And I think writing things up in long form is the best antidote to that.
No, I love it. And I think one,
Yep.
again, it's a sad example, but when airlines, not all, I haven't studied this in depth, but airline crashes and things, you look at the details of
Yeah.
some of them, it was simple things, they got up, missed their Starbucks. Then it's not communication, but it's the simple things, it's the nuances. It was a bad pilot. No, guy's experience or she's experienced. It was the small steps beforehand. I don't know how that came to my thought, but
Yeah, yeah, for
it's
sure. I mean, there's a lot of that. It's actually interesting. I've had this weird fascination with aircrafts, even though
Mhm.
I'm not a pilot and I
Sure.
don't love flying. But there's a site called airliners.net, which
Mm.
is like it's like aircraft enthusiasts, and I
Hmm.
always pay
Hmm.
attention to that. And I see a lot of that stuff. People talking about um, pilot, I think what they call it. Well, there's like the PF, which is the pilot flying, the pilot communicating or
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
and how like they're always almost repeating. And if you listen to air traffic control, they're always
Yep.
repeating
Yep.
what they said to make
Hmm.
sure that nothing was
That's
misunderstood. There's a
right.
lot of that repetition in that world because we're talking about high criticality.
Yep.
And I almost wonder sometimes if businesses would be run better if it was more like air traffic control, where there's always like a Roger and I heard
Yes.
that and repeating it back.
Yes.
That said, what works in air traffic control, like there's a lot of short phrases, tight communication. In most companies, it's a lot wordier and longer, and you
Hmm.
couldn't repeat back what someone said word for word. But there's something about they say this, I say it back. That means I understood it, and I'd love to see more of that in some ways.
Yes. Jason, say to me, Ramon, I'm not available for lunch. Say that to me, Jason.
Ramon, I'm not available for lunch.
So you said you don't like me, right? That's the kind of
Exactly.
that's
Exactly. Right. So like, I can't do lunch. Oh, this guy thinks what he thinks that whatever. Right. This is what happens.
yes.
Right. And
Yes.
and this is just the human condition,
Right.
and no one should feel bad about it. This is just like who we are and how we work.
Yes.
Because we tell like our heads are full of stories. We don't even know where our thoughts come from, and or conditioned in all sorts of different ways. And this is actually one of the tricks, one of the actual, in some ways, the benefits of remote work.
Mm.
In some ways, it removes some of the humanity. So we don't have these. Well, why don't they want to go to lunch with me? Because like you can't even go to lunch with someone when you're 4,000 miles away. So you kind of run out of some of those things where you would normally maybe butt into people like water cooler talk or office politics. You kind of eliminate some of that stuff. That said, we do think FaceTime is important,
Mhm.
and we do get together twice a year for a week at a time. We fly everybody into a different
Oh,
city
okay.
twice a year. So we're going up to Vancouver in October. Fly
Nice.
everyone from the whole company into Vancouver, spend a week together. It's mostly social time, a little bit of work,
Mhm.
but having that FaceTime, sharing meals, laughing, sharing the same room, seeing each other, that's very, very important. You do need that when you're going to
Yes.
work remotely. But in those moments, there's just a lot less judgment about like, what do they mean? What do they say? Why can't
Mhm.
they do this? That sort
Mhm.
of thing.
No, you're right. Even that's why
Yeah.
sometimes I like video calls, not all the time, but just riffing off what you're saying. It's just the person, the emoji or whatever. I use a lot of emojis sometimes, like ha 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 ha, to
What does
know
that mean,
this is
right?
nothing personal. I ha 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 meant since you can't see my face, we're
Right.
good. I just wanted to tell you that, in church or something, you could have played the bass done a little better. Ha ha ha, we're good.
Right. The
Whatever.
other thing is, I think that's great. And then the other person, it might be like, Does this person think I'm stupid?
Right.
Like that could,
That too.
this is just the
Yes.
human, like we don't know what it means. Like
Yes.
just taking things on face value, like I can't make lunch or I can't do lunch, just simply should mean he can't do lunch. The
Right.
value judgments I bring to this, that's on me. That's not on him.
Yeah.
So I've got to learn to control my own value judgments and not try to, project what I think you mean
Sure.
and just take you at face value. You
Yeah.
can't do lunch, great, no problem. Like
Oh,
that's
I love it.
that's how it should be. But of course,
Yes.
it's very hard to be that way.
No, it is. And I think one last question I'll ask you, because
Yep.
I believe that if I give people their time back, they'll say yes to me if I ask for more
I
time
would
again.
happy, yeah, happy to talk to you anytime.
This you openly sharing. Can you talk pros and cons? Just talk about your aspect of openly sharing. You know that. I mean, are you afraid ever? Have you ever shared too much? Have you made mistakes? Or talk about that concept, what you do, and then what we can all learn is where I'm trying to go at. Like, just hey, let's just share what's happening so people can see what's going on.
Yeah, I've always felt it was so weird. Like, here's how, okay, let me go
Hmm.
way back to like 98, 1998. I was a freelance web designer and I graduated college in 96. So 98, I started getting into doing some freelance work
Hmm.
and I'd land a gig and then they'd make me sign this like NDA thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know what that even is. And then I just signed it because I didn't know what I was doing. And I started noticing that like companies are really afraid. They're just afraid of like this is going to get out or this is going to get out and this is someone's going to say this. I'm like what in my head I'm like what are you afraid of? No one's paying
Hmm.
attention anyway. No one cares about this
Yeah.
stuff. And the stuff that was like made private to me, I'm thinking in my head like no one on the outside would. This is not important. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I started
Yeah.
seeing this like this stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Why are we so careful about it in a sense? And then I kind of became inspired by chefs, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Chefs write cookbooks. They share their recipes.
Hmm.
This is what they do. Like they make dishes. These are the step-by-step instructions on how to make this dish that made this person famous. And
Hmm.
guess what? They share it. They put it out there. They're not
Right.
afraid someone's going to read that cookbook, open a restaurant next to theirs, making the same things and putting them out of business.
Yep.
Nobody believes that to be true. What the chef wants to know, what wants is for people to know who they are,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
try their food at home, to enjoy it. Maybe when someone visits their city, they'll like go to that person's restaurant and check it out. So noticing how businesses were afraid of nothing, but seemed afraid of everything,
Hmm.
or shouldn't have been afraid of anything, but seemed like they were. And then like paying attention to how chefs share everything. I used to watch the Food Network all the time in the
Hmm.
early days. I'm like, these guys are sharing everything. This is great. Like, why don't we just share everything? Like, what is the downside?
Yes.
And it turned out there's really no downside, in my opinion. And in fact, there's a lot of upside. And the primary upside for us has been the fact that because we share so much, we're so open, people pay attention. We teach.
Hmm.
And when you teach, I think people have a different respect for what you do. When we share without obligation for anyone to return anything back to us.
Hmm.
So we rarely like collect email addresses when we give things away for free. It's just like, here's information. This is not like you're gonna get on my list now and I'm gonna spam you. This is like just information. This is what we would do. This is what we think. Here's how we would approach the situation. We build in public the whole thing, and it's been a great marketing tool for us. Also, we don't spend much money on marketing right now. We're experimenting a little bit this year, but historically over the last
Hmm.
25 years, we spent a few million bucks, like over 25 years on marketing, which is not very much.
Wow.
And it's mostly been word of mouth and people finding out about us because we're
That's right.
outspoken and we share. And I think people feel good about companies that share and aren't afraid. And I think a lot of people learn from the things we put out there, and I feel really good about that. And it's just ingrained in us to do that. And have we made mistakes? Yes. Have
Sure.
we overshared something? Probably. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Here we are, 25, 26 years into the business. Things are going well. Like, could they have been going better? Maybe. Could they have been going worse? Maybe. I don't know. They are what they are. Here we are. We're going to keep doing it the way we've done it. And it's worked out well for us. So that's kind of my point of view. In general, I would say share more than share less. Be less afraid.
Yeah.
And also take yourself a little bit less seriously. I think this is the other thing. Business, for some reason, is so serious about itself. I don't really, I know there's money involved, but I don't know where it comes from.
Yep. Yep.
It probably comes from like the 50s or something when everyone was all buttoned up and everyone's just so scared and so nervous and so tight and just like loosen up. It's just a business. You're making something, you're putting out there, you're asking people for money. If it's any good, they'll buy it. Take good care of people, take good care of your customers, take good care of yourself. Like have fun doing it, enjoy yourself. Why so serious? So that's my advice.
No, Jason, I love it. And I think that part of that is, few things. One who interviews a lot of tech executives. You're not in that
Yeah.
category, you're just a regular nice human.
Well,
But tech
thank you.
executives, you're welcome. The PR person's in the room, whatever. I'm like,
Oof.
we're just going to talk about software, whatever you pitched me, we're going
Yeah.
to talk about. And I'm not nefarious. There's no got you. There's no indictment. There's no lawyer. So why are we? I get it. But
Right.
again,
Yeah, but you
quarterly
get it.
profits and
I
go
know
ahead.
you
We're going
get
to say,
it, but
yeah.
I actually don't want you to say that. I mean, I
Okay.
know that you get it,
Yes.
but I want you to go, I actually don't get it. Like, I'm willing to do
Yes.
it,
Yes. I
but I
understand.
don't actually get it. Like, why,
Well, I do say
like,
that. I
yeah,
push
okay.
back and say I do. I
Okay.
say I am not some TV show brand, whoever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Jokingly, I'll say I'm Ramon. You know my body of work. This is not. There's nothing nefarious. So
Right.
why are you asking the questions? You
There's no
you said
breaking news here. I'm not going to like
yeah,
gotcha on anything. Yeah, I know.
exactly. But I get it. I
It's weird.
understand. And
The other
then
thing around that world is
uh
that, and I appreciate that you didn't do this, which is I don't like to get questions ahead of time. I know a lot of people do though, and they want to put them through, some PR
right.
person or legal, whatever, and make sure they know exactly what they're going to say down to the word. Like those are boring conversations, in my opinion. Like you and I are just talking. We'd never met. We didn't talk about what
That's
we're
right.
going to talk about ahead of time, and that's just how good conversations are. What people can judge whether or not it was a good one. I'm
No, they
just in
will.
general like just let's talk, and
And I
there's
say the
nothing to be
same thing,
afraid
Jason.
of.
When I do tons of interviews, and
Yeah.
meaning I'm interviewed, TV, live TV. If you're asking me what I know, I mean, you came to me, meaning not you,
Right.
but someone come to me. You know my expertise, so
Yeah.
no, don't. And even we can deviate. You want to talk about fatherhood, parents,
Whatever.
kids, even
Yeah.
faith, religion. You want to get a little political. Now, what I say, you may not like,
Right.
but if you want to bring it, bring it.
I'm here. That's right. That's
So,
right. That's how I feel about it too.
yeah.
That's how I feel about it too. Yeah.
But
Cool.
Jason, thank you again for anything I didn't ask. Anything you wanted to end with? Anything else you wanted to say to thousands of small business owners, entrepreneurs, or just regular humans?
I mean, thank you for the opportunity, first of all, to speak
Thank
to
you.
them. I mean, my general sense is like, I'm just going to kind of maybe echo what I just said, which is
Please.
I think take yourself a little bit less seriously.
I agree.
Somehow business is just, it's too serious. And I think I actually wrote a piece on this a while. So I'm learning, as I mentioned, I'm learning how to play drums.
Hmm.
And when I was learning, I'm still learning. I'm not
Hmm.
very good. But one of the things you do when you're new is you grip too tightly. You grip the sticks too tightly. And when you grip I don't know why people do this. They do this like when I learned how to play guitar, it was the same thing. I gripped the neck too tightly.
Hmm.
You grip too tightly. And for some reason, it feels like that's what you're supposed to do. But actually, you need to loosen the grip, lighten up your grip.
Hmm.
And that means like lighten up your grip on how serious you are. And you'll have more degrees of freedom to move, to try things. And when it comes to drums, like you'll have more bounce, like you'll get something back from the sticks and you'll be able to do more things. And it's not that you need to hold on so tight. So I think in business, it's the same way. It's like people hold on too tight to their business or too serious about it. And my advice would just be to anyone, especially when you're new, and I get it, people are nervous, they're starting out, they don't have a lot of revenue
Hmm.
yet,
Hmm.
it's hard. Lightening up will help. Lighten up, add some levity. It'll help. I think it'll help you do better work. I think
Yes.
more people will be attracted to what you're doing. And I think it'll also be a nice contrast to the rest of the industry, which is typically whatever industry you're in, people are uptight. They just are. Just
Jason,
lighten up, loosen up. I think you'll be in a better place.
I can see why I just love this conversation. People ask me about tips for speaking and all that, my journey. And I just say, not that I don't care, come out wrong, but as a motivational professional speaker, been on the biggest stage of the world, Seth and Gary and all the great
Yep.
people. I'm just me. If I trip, I'm going to get back up. If the slides go out, as happens, I just, yeah, I think that is great. Just lighten up and be yourself. Jason
Yeah.
Fried,
Yes.
thank you so much. 37 Signals founder and more. Just thank you for saying yes to me. It was just a blind email. I'm on your list and I'm like, maybe he'll say yes. And you
It was a
did.
pleasure. It was a pleasure. Let's do it again sometime. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Be blessed. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye
All
bye.
right.